the Christian Circle podcast, and you're listening to Pamela Fernandes, where we have conversations about Christian living. Here's the show. Hi, welcome to a new episode of the Christian Circle podcast, and today we have a special guest, Matthew Peaslee from the Pittsburgh Catholic, who's going to talk about building a vibrant parish. And I'm really surprised because everybody's definition of a vibrant parish is so different. And what you hear from this episode is how different archdioceses, different states, different groups, or even countries, communities are coming together to build vibrant parishes in different ways. And it's quite different in how they're doing it in Pittsburgh. But that's a lesson I think that you get to learn, is that everybody's way of doing or achieving this vibrancy is very, very different. So before we go to the podcast, here's a word from our sponsors.
Attention church leaders, are you looking to grow your church membership and congregation? Look no further than noahseventvenue.com/church. Noah's Event Venue rents its location out to church groups just like yours for Sunday worship services, Bible study, prayer groups, Sunday school, and more. So come ye 2 by 2 to Noah's. For more information, just give us a call at 843-455-6845 or visit us online at noahseventvenue.com/church. Don't forget to ask us about getting 1 month free. That's noahseventvenue.com/church. We'd love to have your congregation meet at Noah's.
So my name is Matthew Peaslee. I'm the associate editor of the Pittsburgh Catholic newspaper in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We cover the Diocese of Pittsburgh. It's 6 counties in western Pennsylvania. I've been in this position for almost 2 years now. I worked at other daily newspapers before coming to the Pittsburgh Catholic. I'm a product of Catholic education. I went Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, so I've been devoted to my faith for my entire life. So now that I'm working for the church, it's very fulfilling.
Isn't it nice to actually be using your faith as well, at work too? Because a lot of people would be Catholic at home or be Catholic at church, but then to be Catholic at work is something else, right? Yes, it's very nice, because usually you might have to tiptoe around the subject of religion in general at a normal workplace, I guess. You don't want to push people's buttons the wrong way or come across as being weird or different or out there. But yeah, when working with fellow Christians, fellow Catholics, it's nice that we all can share in the same faith and openly discuss what's happening in the church and where we go to Mass on Sundays and how we're volunteering at our own parishes. So it's nice that we're all on the same page too. And I reached out to you because you wrote this post at your paper, and I think it was about building a vibrant parish. And one of the things you talk about is evangelization. So how is it that this is at the heart of a vibrant parish? Sure. So it's really a big topic in Pittsburgh now because we're undergoing a several year-long transformation. It's called On Mission for the Church Alive. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to spread the word of God even more than what we have in the past by bringing people together. The unfortunate downside of this is that some churches may close in the near future. Some Mass times are going to be dropped. But the whole purpose is to bring people together, to have fuller churches, more people worshiping, and getting people who may have fallen away from the faith or grown out of it over the years back to church and back to realizing why this is important and why we live out our daily lives to praise and worship Jesus Christ. So it was introduced about 5 years ago, this On Mission for the Church Alive, and within the next 2 to 3 years, there's going to be more radical transformations. Right now, in the Diocese of Pittsburgh, there's 188 parishes, and within the next 5 years, that number may dwindle down to about 57 parishes. So it's a pretty drastic change. But whereas evangelization is at the heart of this, because it's not just about losing Mass times or closing churches. It's about having fuller churches and more people coming back to worship. So evangelization was at the heart of that story I wrote, just kind of talking about how people could come back and different activities that parishes can plan.
because a big thing is collaboration between parishes. So there's so many churches that are within 2 miles of each other. You can almost walk from one church to the other. So for so many years, they were almost working independently. So with this new initiative in Pittsburgh, we want to bring these churches and parishes together. They'll eventually combine to form one new parish with maybe multiple church sites, but by working together and welcoming yourself to new neighbors and new followers in Christ, hopefully the parishes can be stronger, much stronger than they were when they were operating independently.
So you're actually focused on not just having a higher quality, but as well as the quantity of participating Christians has to increase, right?
Right. Yeah, it's unfortunate that, I mean, I'm in my late 20s, and so many people my age don't seem to have a sole purpose in life.
Yeah.
And I know that I've talked to a lot of my friends who I went to Catholic school with, who may have fallen away from the faith just because going to church doesn't always fit into their weekend plans. But if you make it a point to go every week and learn more about the faith, read the Bible during the week to prepare yourself for Sunday's readings, and just understand why we do this and why people have been doing this for more than 2,000 years. There's a deeper meaning to it, and it's definitely made my life more fulfilling, I think, because when I was in college and growing up, I admit I kind of fallen away from the faith, but I knew once I got settled down and more established that I wanted to get back to my Catholic and Christian roots, and it's really paid off for me now. I feel that I'm living life with a purpose, and the weeks go by so much quicker, I guess, when you have something to look forward to. And I look forward to going to Mass. I look forward to going to adoration, and I look forward to praying before I go to bed each night too.
I think this is my gripe with a lot of parishes today, is that there's very little that is geared towards working youth. I think everything is for kids, and then for teenagers, and then right on to adults who are, senior citizens maybe. But the working youth don't have a lot of activity, and I think we've left out this age group of people to do whatever they want.
Yes, that's definitely true. I know at least here in Pittsburgh, I can attest. There's some areas of Pittsburgh that are much older, with an older population, and then there's other areas that are booming with vibrant opportunities for people my age to get involved. I mean, there's some parishes that have weekly dinners just to get together, and it's nice to know. It's nice to know that there's other people out there who share the same faith, and it's almost like people my age are. They're not certain that there's other people out there. So if you put yourself out there and volunteer and get to know other people in your community, it's amazing how many people you can meet who share the same outset that you do.
Now, you mentioned this. I think this was a quote, and you said that the church was once upon a time a place where people came. And now it's a place where people go. And quite honestly, I didn't quite understand this. So what do you mean when you say this?
Sure. That's I was just talking to my fellow coworkers, and even some people reading, they didn't understand it either. I actually got that quote from one of our priests, and it took me a while to understand what he meant too. And it's really important, because not only is the church a building that you go to or that you come to every Sunday for Mass, spend an hour or hour and a half in the presence of Christ, but the church needs to be a place where you go and where you go out and where you represent the Catholic Church or your home parish. For example, in my neighborhood in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, there was a unfortunate fire that displaced several families on a street. 2 houses caught fire, and the families were displaced, but representatives from the church, Holy Apostles Parish, were almost the first on the scene to give food and water and clothing and offer them a place to stay. So that's kind of what I mean by as a place where people go. So when you do great things like that, you can become a representative of your own parish. So by going out and representing the Catholic faith, the Christian faith, and your own parish, I think that's an important thing too, because not only is the church the building. The church is the many people who make up the church.
So how is it, and I think what you're actually saying is that we need to practice this more than we preach this, right?
Yes, absolutely. Not just one day a week, but 7 days a week, as often as you can. You need to be the hands of Christ, the feet of Christ, and the mouth and ears of Christ too.
Yeah. Who said that? Wasn't that Mother Teresa?
Yes, I believe so. That's definitely that's a big quote within the Diocese of Pittsburgh now, as we try to evangelize and grow the faith.
So how is it that we can actually practice this gospel more than we can preach it? Because that's sometimes a lot of people look at our lives and say, oh my goodness, Catholics are X or Y, and they're not doing what they should be doing. So how is it that we practice more than we preach?
Yeah, I think that's something that it's almost on-the-job training with that. Another example, and I like to use my section of Pittsburgh as a good example. There's many immigrants from Middle Eastern countries moving in, and they aren't necessarily Christian or Catholic, but they're living close to within about 3 or 4 different Catholic churches. So there's kind of an initiative going on to reach out and talk to them, tell them who we are, and maybe get them interested in coming to Mass or just checking it out to see. And that could even apply to your neighbors who may have been Catholic or may not have any ties to any religion, but to invite them to come to Mass or invite them to read the Bible with you and invite them to pray with you and just show them what the faith is all about. Teach them the rosary. And inform them about the priest, because you're right, there are a lot of misconceptions about the Catholic faith out there, about who we are and what we do. So it's important to not only tell people, and we definitely don't want to argue with people, but show them why we do what we do.
Tell us a bit about your own parish. Now, I know that different people have got different definitions of what a vibrant parish is. So tell us how your church has managed to be vibrant, and or something where you've seen, a major transformation take place.
Well, what's been pretty interesting, my parish, it's referred to as Holy Apostles Parish, and it's in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, but it's actually 4 church buildings. So there's St. Albert the Great Church, St. Norbert Church, St. Basil Church, and St. Wendelin Church, and they came together as part of this On Mission initiative in Pittsburgh, but it actually started before churches were starting to come together. So here you have 4 different churches that operated independently for close to, if not more than, hundreds of years. And it took a while for parishioners to step out of their comfort zone and get to know the other parishioners from these other 4 churches. But I'm sure back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, they each had their own church festival or church fish fry. And in recent years, they combined. These 4 churches are now operating with one festival or one fish fry and one organization. So it's taken time to come together and learn from others. And it's not so much about being set in your own ways. It's about wanting to adapt and wanting to try things maybe a little bit differently and see what works, see what doesn't work. But it's definitely been impressive to see these 4 churches, these smaller churches, probably struggling financially churches, to come together and pour all their resources into one basket, and then they could accomplish a lot more that way. You could reach more people that way and do more activities that way too.
How has this affected your attendance now? I mean, and how is it that people have responded? Has there been initial anger? Has there been, strife? I mean, how did you all get over that initial coldness, I guess, and kind of out?
Right. It's still an ongoing process because there's some parishes who knew this was coming, and there's others who are kind of reluctant to the change. The Church of Pittsburgh is really preaching to step out of your comfort zone and realize, hey, this is good. Everybody's going to be affected by this. So the people who go to the same Mass, sit in the same pew, that routine might be shaken up a little bit. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. But the reason why we do this week after week is not for our pew. It's for Jesus Christ sacrificed for us and why we worship Him. So the church is, like I said before, it's more than just one building. It's the whole body of us that make it up, and we're here for Jesus.
Do you find that some of the resistance is from people who've just been, and this is one thing that our podcaster call these people is pew warmers. So do you find that the resistance comes mostly from them because they're afraid of doing anything different from what they've done for the last whatever number of years?
Yes, absolutely. And I hate to pick on. I love the city of Pittsburgh. I love living here, but Pittsburgh is a very territorial place. Most of the people that are here have lived here for 60 and 70 or even 30 and 40 years, so it's hard to change. And it's hard to, not just with church activities, but it's hard to go to a new grocery store if your old grocery store closed, or if your cable channel lineup has changed or something like that. It's hard, and it's about being adaptive and almost having a more inquisitive mind to want to try something new. So unfortunately, there are people out there who may not accept these changes, and unfortunately, they may stop going altogether. But you hate to see that happen, and you would just want people to try something new. And for example, if people are used to going to a 9 a.m. mass at the church closest to their home, that might go away sometimes. So if there's a 9 a.m. mass at another church, you need to maybe try to go to that one where you can meet new people and understand new and exciting things that this other parish is doing.
And I know this is we've talked about this on other podcasts as well, and I've met with some resistance, but I feel technology is important to reach out to young people today at parishes. And I mean that you need to have a website, you need to have mass timings on there, maybe even social media. But can you talk about how we can start technology at churches so that young people, we reach out to young people?
Sure, yeah, and I think podcasting is on the rise too. So what you're doing is great to get people involved. And there's actually some priests in the Diocese of Pittsburgh here that are starting their own podcast, which has been interesting to listen to. So it's unfortunate. I mean, I work for a newspaper. It's a weekly newspaper, but we realize that young adults, teenagers, and the youth aren't really reading newspapers to get their news. They turn to Twitter and Facebook, so it's very important to have a presence online, so you can see the mass times, you can see the activities that they're doing. With my job, I actually run our Pittsburgh Catholic newspaper social media pages, so I like to post pictures from events and encourage more people to come out. And it's very, I think by putting pictures and videos on websites and on social media, it shows others what you're doing and what ministry you're doing, and it'll pay off when more younger people are seeing this, because that's their main outlet for news, and hopefully they can get involved down the road.
That's great. I think they need to have more young people operating this machine, because I've seen a number of parishes where they don't even have a website, and I think LPI did a survey where they found that if people didn't have a website, people didn't really go to church there because they wanted to see mass timings, reviews. I don't know why they want reviews, but even reviews online.
Yeah, it's important. I do the same thing on Sundays. If I know if I know I'm traveling, or if I know I want to sleep in, or if I have something going on Sunday, I know I'm going to check out the mass times. I'm going to Google search different churches, and if I don't see a mass time on their website, I'm not going to go to that church. So I'm going to go to the church that has the more easy accessible website.
So what would you recommend to people? I think we have lots of parish administrators also listening. So what would you say, at least 3 things that a parish should have in terms of technology so that we can reach out to working youth?
Sure. I would say if obviously a website, but beyond that, social media too. And it's important to not. You can't just make a Facebook and say, "Hey, we have a Facebook page." It needs to be active. It needs to be updated at least a couple times a week with pictures or videos of what your parish is doing. Talk about the events that are coming up in the next week or that weekend. and just encourage people to come out. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even I think Instagram is the most popular outlet for teenagers, at least. So that's important to show pictures and videos, because kids these days, they're going to be they're always scrolling on their phone, and if you don't put something that catches their eye, they're going to go right past it. So that's why I think videos and pictures are important to accompany any kind of Facebook or Twitter post. Video is important too. So whether you just have somebody in your parish that can film video and maybe one-on-one interviews with parishioners about why do you go to mass, or why do you like this parish, or something quick and easy like that. It doesn't have to be a long 20-minute documentary, but just like a 30-second video clip, picking out a parishioner of the week or family of the week, and highlighting their things like that. Because I noticed just from, if I post different stories on my own or the Pittsburgh Catholic social media page, the stories and videos that get the most hits are feature type pieces on regular people. I put stuff out there that the Pope says or that our bishop says, and those are very important and great too. But what really hits home are regular, everyday people who to them they may not seem like they're doing great things, but they really are, by being they're really the heart of the church and the parish.
Yeah, and that's what it is about, right? The church is about regular people. We make up the church.
Yes.
So I know this is not a question on the list, but what would be your tips or your best advice for building a vibrant parish to any parish out there?
I think it's definitely stepping out of your comfort zone, and that's hard for everybody. That's hard for me. That's hard for anybody, but it's having a welcoming presence. It's shaking hands, looking people in the eye, saying hello. There are people I know at each parish who have known each other for decades.
Yeah.
But there's new, I was new at the parish I go to. I was new 2 years ago, and I had people welcoming me, and it left me with a good impression. And now I know that if I don't know somebody, I'd like to introduce myself and just get to know them, because it's easy to go walk into church, sit there, do your thing, and then get up and leave. But it'd be much more vibrant by just talking and getting to know the people around you.
So, Matthew, tell us about yourself, where people can find you, reach you, or interact with you, or even your paper if they wanted to find out more about your activities or things happening at your parish. Let people know.
Sure. Definitely check out PittsburghCatholic.org. We have a lot of great news up there. There unfortunately was some news that came out last month about the grand jury report in the Diocese of Pittsburgh and throughout Pennsylvania, but we have some stories on our website that talk more about that, and call out some of the inaccuracies that may have been in the report, and just let people know what the Diocese of Pittsburgh has been doing to prevent child abuse for many years. And there's great facts on there to learn more about, to go beyond the headlines, if you would check that out. But also check out the Pittsburgh Catholic Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages. And my name is Matthew Peaslee, and I'm on Twitter at the THEMPs. The MPs.
So thank you so much for coming to our show.
Oh, that sounds great. I appreciate your time, and hopefully this can help other parishes out.